Your house is worth whatever it's worth, right? Whoever sells it. Wrong. I'm Charlie. Welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming.
Charlie Landing grew up in Sussex, is the founder of Best Agent and presenter of Moving Home with Charlie.
If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same.
So Charlie, what would be your advice for people interested in buying new builds right now?
Don't overpay. Do buy, but don't overpay. That's why I say disregard the guff. Read into the numbers and look, and it's buried. The bad news is buried in the small print, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
They may or may not be telling the truth, but you should form your own view. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. You cannot be in a position to make offers and have no offers accepted if you're not viewing. So be out there viewing. Pay attention to the back of the class. If you've not been watching my videos, I did one just a couple of days ago. Disregard the guff.
Per Jesum Christum Dominum Nostrum. Amen.
It's that time again, boys and girls. I've spent the last few hours with Alex. He is actually close to the bottom of quite a lot of wine.
Yeah. I think we could call it a butt.
Immediate warning. There will be bad language in this video. If you are offended by bad language, then you should discontinue watching.
Trigger warning.
So, yes, 'tis late night one. We were having a really enjoyable conversation, and Alex has just shared with me a presentation he did for some people where he said he had to close the windows in the building. What floor were you on? You had to close the windows. And
so I was presenting to one of my clients. They asked me to do a macroeconomics academy for the young people in the office, 25 people, 4th floor. And I just made sure they'd locked the windows and the door to the balcony before we started. And yes, you and I were having a lovely conversation until you went, nah, fuck it. Let's put it live on YouTube.
Yes, I know. Well, because the thing is, the conversation we're talking about is what can we do about it? Like, what can we do? We looked at the company, how much debt, the government debt.
I took you through Karl Marx and Herbert Spencer. We were being philosophers.
Yeah, I've got it right there. I could share it on screen. I'm not going to. No, Jim Bob, not me. I'm all right. Stig, yes.
No, he's sober. He's had 2 cans of Punk IPA all night.
Yeah.
Bastard.
Change is coming. So don't you have a morning meeting tomorrow?
Oh, fuck off. I do.
So do I. So do I. I've got all day tomorrow.
Hang on. Let me just check my diary.
Okay.
Oh, crap. oh, this is not good.
Right. Let's get to the point. So you think we're going to end up like Japan? What's the name for the people in Japan who never leave the house?
I don't know. I don't know the Japanese name. Hang on.
I thought you said it. We were talking about. I was basically trying to say, look, okay, yeah. So let's just play devil's advocate. The economy goes into the bin. There's no money. There's no employment. I said, the sun still comes up. There are still buildings. People can still live in the buildings. There'll still be.
It is hikikomori. 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 Arigato gozaimasu. Hikikomori. Yeah. No, you say I see hikikomori.
Which is what? Someone who never leaves the house.
Is known as a severe social withdrawal, as total withdrawal from society and seeking extreme degrees of social isolation and confinement.
Extreme degrees of social isolation and confinement.
Yes, and that...
Why?
Because they have nothing. The young people in Japan, bear in mind, their population has shrunk.
But the young people, they should make babies.
They have no interest in each other. The sexes have no interest in making babies.
What, because there's no money?
No, because they have stagnated for 30 years. Or maybe you could say that they are reaching a point of enlightenment where sex is no longer important. And like the Stargate series, they are going to turn into balls of light and transcend into another state of being. Unfortunately, we are mammals. We are made of flesh and blood. and we like to bang.
We do.
We bang, she bang. Anyway, the point is very simple. These people live in a society that is now so structured and yet so decaying because of the lack of new people. Their immigration is a quarter of ours, and yet they are twice the population. So it's an eighth of ours, basically. And that has only happened recently. Before that, they had no immigration. Their birth rate is through the floor.
And so you think that's where Britain is heading because of its debt problem, its irrecoverable debt problem, its falling birth rates?
No, I don't. I think unlike Japan, which are islands off the coast of fucking Asia, we are so close to Europe that we are going to continue to bring in a whole bunch of immigrants. And I think our entire society will change in terms of what you would call an Englishman in 50 years would be very different to what you would have called an Englishman 100 years before.
Yeah.
Whereas Japan, they are still Japanese, but they are dying.
So changes coming says that 1% of Japanese are hikikomori.
Yeah. Well, 1% is a huge percentage.
It's only one.
Sorry, 1% of 120 million.
Okay.
That's 1.2 million young people,
Young adults
who are locked
never
in.
leave out there. And what do you reckon? Do we already have people like that here?
Yes, we do. The gamers, we call them. You take the piss about them, and they're these gamers living in their mother's basements. Yes, we are going that way. The only reason that we haven't accelerated as fast as places like Japan is because we have allowed immigration.
Right. So, but as mammals who like to bang, as you eloquently put it there, I think it's simple. It's to the point.
Simple. I mean, we are simple. We are.
It's true that the young are banging much less.
Correct.
That's a sad story.
Just as they drink much less, just as they take less drugs.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if there's a correlation there, but
we have created a neutered society. A weak, febrile society of people who do not stand up and go, "Fuck you! I will stick my cock in any hole." It's a goal.
Oh dear.
In all seriousness, Charlie, seriously, in all seriousness, stepping away from that, there's a massive issue in terms of relationships, male and female. We divided society with technology, and we continue to divide it with the whole gender, the transgender, the LGBTQ, the
divisive.
woke.
It's just totally divisive.
And men and women sit on opposite sides of this. I don't think they mean to. I mean, let's face it, realistically, boys like girls and girls like boys. In the main, there are a small percentage of people where boys like boys and girls like girls. And
there are some who like both.
Exactly.
On both sides.
But it is a small percentage. The majority sit in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But men are fairly scared these days of approaching women. The Me Too movement didn't help that, although it was perfectly justified because the behavior of the people it was calling out was horrendous.
Yeah.
And this is the issue, is that you've got behavior that has been horrendous, but it's influencing the behavior of people who now go, "Oh, is it okay if I kiss you?" Did you ever say that as a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old boy? Did you ever actually turn to the girl in that passionate moment the first time? Did you say to her, "Excuse me, could you possibly just sign this thing
Consent
giving
form.
your consent for me to kiss you?
Kind of kills the moment.
Kind of does.
Yeah.
Kind of does. It's really difficult. And I'm not sure.
You're right, and I think that's definitely as if it isn't already a scary enough and intimidating enough moment in itself, right?
Yes.
It can be. You've then got the extra worry about all of that. I mean, but it's again, you've got that spectrum of different behaviours
Mhm.
of people who don't behave well and who don't check that the person they want to kiss wants to be kissed.
No, but they're cunts.
Yes, they always have been,
Yes.
and they got away with it for too long.
But
And
did
now-
they?
and now it's
Did
pushed-
they? Because they're male friends. I mean, in my day, in my day, I'm so old. In my day, I was born in 1972. I remember being in the pub in 1988, 16, and I was with the entire rugby team. And there was one guy there who was a bit pushy. He was a bit pushy,
Mhm.
as we would have described it then. He thought that because he was 6'3", second row, 6'3", 18 stone, that everyone loved him. He actually used to say, "When I go into a room, all the girls get moist." Let's not even worry about that. But he used to, in a pub, he'd go up to a woman and he would put his hand on the small of her back, not her ass, the small of her back, and he'd put her in and he'd lean down and he'd try and kiss her. And the frightening thing was that 3 times out of 5, she'd be fine with that.
Mhm.
Depending on how long it was into the pub night, she was okay.
And
But-
what would happen the other 2 times?
Right. We, the rest of the rugby team, would grab him and put it and go, "What the fuck are you playing at?" The moment he was pretty good. He used to go, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But there was one time I remember he was drunk and he didn't back away. He kept trying to kiss her and she kept saying no. And we just grabbed him and pulled him away. There were no repercussions. This was not something that was reportable. But other men made sure that he didn't do anything that was bad other than trying to kiss a girl in a pub. I don't know. And today, it seems that behavior would potentially get you barred from your career.
I think it's. I'm a father now. I've got 2 daughters,
Yep.
and God, this feels like dangerous territory. But it's like if a 6'4" pissed rugby player was trying to kiss one of my any girl I know who didn't want to,
Want to. Yep.
and after they clearly said no.
Yep.
I mean, the moment they make it really clear, I don't want you to do this, and it's instantly a problem. I mean, that's instantly a very serious fucking problem.
Agreed.
And you're right. There were 40 years ago, it wasn't recognised as the problem it should have been recognised as by enough blokes.
No, but blokes made sure it didn't go any further than that.
Sometimes, if they're around, but sometimes there weren't other blokes around. It's fucking. I mean, literally.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Almost every
You're right.
girl I know
You're right.
has, at some point or other, had to physically force someone off them. Almost every girl I know have ever spoken to about it.
No, you're right. Likewise, I agree.
And the shame about it is because it's about striking the balance. And in that moment, you were talking about that teenage moment, like, can I have a consent form to kiss you, please? I mean, the actual subtlety and nuance of that moment is probably in the body language and the look.
Of course.
And it's the getting closer,
But some
stopping and then
people are
waiting.
not good at understanding body language and nuance. They're just not. Now we have excuses for it. It's ADHD, it's Asperger's, it's all these different things. There's 100 different syndromes. When you and I were kids, those syndromes didn't exist.
So what did you bring this up because you think that actually this division that's been created with all these divisive topics that are constantly talked about everywhere is one of the things that's contributed to young people having less sex, because it's basically too fucking scary.
Yeah. It was a massive tangent.
I know someone right now, who, this is an acquaintance, not a friend, who went round to see an old girlfriend, known her for years, go back a long way, got pissed, doesn't remember anything, next day gets arrested.
Rape.
No, but assault.
Yeah. SA.
But the terrifying thing is,
He doesn't remember it.
and it's horrific, because he said, I don't remember, but I would never do that.
Yeah.
That person I've known a long time,
Yeah.
consider her a friend. Yes, we've had flings in the past, but I would never have done what she said I was doing. But I don't remember.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be her word against mine.
Uh-huh.
And the truth is, in that scenario, nobody will ever know what actually
Correct.
happened. And that's awful.
But
But
that
he's
is
been charged.
sorry, this is the problem. That is the nature of human relations.
So
You never know.
we've gone down a real rabbit hole here.
We have. But you never know what is happening in someone else's head. You will never know that.
Yeah.
Even the girl that is kissing you passionately, is she doing it because she's scared that you're her boss and she may lose her job? Or is she doing it because she actually thinks you're attractive?
Yeah, and it can all change in the blink of an eye as well.
Correct. There is, and that is why putting more fear on human sexual relations does not help.
No.
Japan.
Someone just said, Andrew Taylor said, for those who own their own home, how do you keep it? Don't get married. I said, I had Lewis on the other night, and I told that joke about don't get married. Just find someone you don't like and give them a house.
House. Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, dear.
Zach Tudor says, right now, Stig is the reason my wife is letting me watch the show on the big TV. Hey! Big TV.
Big
Is
TV.
that 100-inch? I wish you could have Stig on screen too, but it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
I will never be on screen.
But so going back to the conversation that we were having before I said, let's turn the camera on.
What, demographics?
Well, so Master said, what is it? Population decline over the next 50 years of between 18 and 25 million, roughly.
In the UK, sorry. Let's just qualify that. So if you were to look at the UK and you look at our current birth rate, which is 1.44 per woman, and you look at our longevity, which is 81.4 years.
Yeah.
If you just stuck with that and you allowed no immigration, we would lose roughly 18 million people in 50 years.
Okay.
We'd be down at 50 million. But as that happened, we'd have less tax take, and therefore our services would reduce even further, which means actually we'd probably hit the USA's longevity, which is about 79.4 years. And also our birth rate would reduce because as people had no money around them, then we get to where Japan is. And even not even approaching Japan, you take a fertility rate of 1.33 per woman, which is well above Japan and Korea and so on and so forth. We'd lose 23 million people in the next 50 years with no immigration. So you would end up in this country with 45 million people rather than the 68.3 million we have now.
That would be catastrophic if without immigration.
Well,
right?
For pensions, I mean, no old
collapse.
people get it. Yeah, of course, it's total collapse.
That's total. Okay, so that's what's happening. So without immigration, that's
in Japan, that is already happening. native born, now they have just upped their immigration. Their immigration 10 years ago was 0. It is now about 250,000 a year.
In Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To try
Bring some life back into the
and
country.
bring some life, but it's not working. But they have lost over 10 million people.
Well, just on population decline. Right.
Of native born, over 10 million.
Okay. Right. So listen, I look at our politics now, the government, and this isn't a party political thing. Just talking about this from a totally objective. Let's imagine that we don't even live in the UK, right? We are aware of everything that we know about.
Yeah.
And you look at the political parties. You look at everything's looking bleak. I mean, literally everything. So just today, that KPMG survey came out. It's the worst. It's the worst monthly downturn in hiring and vacancies and stuff.
Yes.
Excluding the pandemic, it's the worst since 2009.
Yeah, since the GFC.
Right.
Yeah.
It's 2.5 years of constant decline of job vacancies, rising redundancies being reported by recruitment consultants, and the chief executive of Reed Employment was on this morning on Radio 4 today being interviewed. And the interviewer said, but the Bank of England, I mean, I know they've cut their growth forecast, but they're still forecasting 0.75% growth. And he went, yeah, I saw that too. He said, I hope they're right. But it's like, it's
not
already
not a chance in hell.
Right? It's like, he didn't say it, but under reading between the lines, he was saying it's a serious recession coming.
We have been in a per capita GDP depression for over 3 years now.
Yeah. But it's getting steeper, isn't it?
Yes,
That's
it
the
is.
point,
Yes,
right?
it is.
So with this year looking worse, everyone I know is feeling the pinch. We were having a conversation earlier this evening with someone else who said they know someone who's on a massive 6-figure salary.
Yeah.
And
sorry, a mid 6-figure salary. You can work out mid because there's 1 to 10. Mid would be 5.
We're not naming the person. It's 400,000, right?
Yeah.
They work in the city. They're 400,000. They've got kids in school.
But they've only got 2 kids at school.
With 2 more to go.
Yeah.
And basically they're now
they're broke.
They're maxed out.
They're broke.
Living in London with 2 kids in school, 2 kids going to go to school. They're maxed out, right? And it's like they can't afford to go out
for dinners. They're cutting down on holidays and dinners.
Everyone is getting
on 400k. Most of your viewers would not understand the impact of 400k as a salary.
Right. So just seriously, I look at all the news that's happening every day, and it's like a tiring doom loop hamster wheel. And you look at all the political parties, and the Tories appear to be completely finished.
Oh yeah.
Labour, I'm actually surprised there hasn't already been large numbers of people taking the streets.
Come on, they're fucking useless.
Yeah. And taxes going up and the economy is going down. They don't look fit. They're not going to deliver any growth anytime soon, right? No. Certainly not in this parliament, and probably not within the 10 years they're forecasting. It looks disastrous. So what the problem with? I mean, I love nostalgia as much as anyone else does. My biggest problem with reform is that it sounds like they want to go back to the good old days.
But reform don't have a cabinet.
No, I know they have got a cabinet as well. That's the second. I was going to come on to that, but just looking at what their vision seems to be, what their pitch seems to be.
Yeah,
it's we miss the good old days. Yes, we do. We all miss the good old days. But the world's moved on, and there's no going back there.
Yeah, good old days aren't coming back.
That ship has sailed. Like it or not.
New days.
Yeah, basically the way I see the UK's future now is it's unwritten. The next election, whenever it comes, is going to be utterly unpredictable. At the moment, Reform do not have an electable cabinet. They may or may not, depending on when the next election comes. Having watched politics and the election for the whole of my life, it's always been relatively predictable what was going to happen. There haven't been any major shocks. It's not that predictable now, other than everyone's had enough of the uniparty, right? Labour and Tories. It's over. And so for that reason, Reform probably does have a surprisingly good chance of actually getting into government the next election. but I don't think they haven't yet said what their vision for the future is. There's lots of nostalgia, which is lovely, and that does get you lots of support, but it's not a solution.
No.
Right? Because we're going to a new world of machine learning, AI, the workplace changing, the population is changing, everything's changing. And either we're going to just get pushed into some future with no direction and no vision, which is going to be horrible, and there's no sense of identity of any kind, not even a new one, or somehow someone has got to come up with a vision and go, right, these are the things that have changed that we can't undo. We've got AI, we've got this, we've got that, we've got Trump, we've got whatever it might be. That's the new world we're in now, right?
Yeah.
And this is how the UK fits into that new global picture as an independent country, as a sovereign, whatever it might be, right? And unless someone comes along with, and I don't know what that vision is, I don't know what it is, unless someone comes along with a compelling vision of a new future that isn't going back to the good old days, because the good old days they're fucking
gone.
They were amazing. It was great. Right now, I miss them, but they're not coming back. Farmers are fucked.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's what's happening is horrific, and there doesn't need to be any stopping. Tenants are fucked. Right, the Renters Reform Bill is going to fuck things terribly.
Charlie, everyone is fucked. But my issue is this: you keep talking about this global idea of where we're going to. That won't work for the UK.
I don't have a suggestion. I don't know what it is.
As a jigsaw piece that fits into that global puzzle, we need to work it out within this country. Otherwise, we will end up. We are not manufacturers.
No,
we are a service industry, and our services will be replaced. Correct, and the reason that companies want to move here in order to do R&D is because our people are so cheap. It is the same thing as when we said we would outsource to India.
Yeah.
You know, that's the reality. Is the UK's wages now people go, oh my God, he's earning 50 grand a year. 50 grand. It's fucking peanuts.
Oh no.
What?
Tina Fey finally got made redundant.
Oh no, Tina. I'm sorry, you're one of the Tina cubed.
No. I'm sorry to hear that. I had someone else today on the YouTube comments say that they're one of 150 people in the company's got laid off today.
Well, it's going to keep happening.
It's the thing that really winds me up is how the government just isn't acknowledging this difficulty and hardship that everyone's facing. They always said, no, it's all fine. We're determined. We're determined and committed to deliver growth. I'm so
every single thing
it.
that Rachel Reeves have done so far is the opposite of growth.
Yeah.
There is not one thing that she has done that is going to help growth.
So, as we were saying earlier, going back in time, there were always people who felt that the country and the world were on the brink of collapse and everything was going to be disastrous.
Yeah.
And yet somehow we muddle through and keep going.
Well, hang on. They fired the silver bullets. This is the thing. To be honest, I never felt the country was on the edge of collapse. Not through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, until we hit the dot-com crash.
Mm-hmm.
And I was an IT guy, and I looked at this, and I was like, oh my God. And I told Cisco, who I was working for when it happened, that if they didn't sack 20% of their staff, their business would go bust. They sacked 25% of their staff, and their share price went from $88 to $12 in the space of 1 year. Yeah, massive crash. But then I looked, 2004, I felt the vibrations of the market from the US. And I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, just like old Burry and all these guys, it was like, this is not sustainable. This whole massive debt bubble growth, it's not sustainable. But it carried on. And then in 2008, when it finally went bang, I went, yes, okay, I'm right. It's gone bang. This is the way it is. Yada, yada, yada. House prices are going to, because I sold my flat in 2007, ready for everything to go bang and hey, away we go. Did the fucking prices drop big time in England? No, they did not. Yeah, they dropped a bit, but then suddenly nominally they increased. In real terms, because of inflation, actually they weren't increasing, but I was too dumb back then to check these things. I was only looking at the nominal price. I'm like, no, this is definitely going much lower than this. It's definitely going further down than this. I was totally and utterly wrong. And they fired the bullets of quantitative easing and interest rates of 0.5%, not 5.5%, where I had bought in 95, but 0.5%. And you go, okay, well, you fired your bullets. You're very clever. What are you going to do this time? Now debt is so vast. Now it is so fucking huge. You can't possibly fire the 0.5% interest rate.
Really?
You can't possibly print again because inflation is just going to fucking run away from you. And here's the thing. A logical person would never do those things. A government that only has 5 years.
A desperate government.
They might do it. They might do it because, you know what? They sit there and they go, well.
It's not the government's decision, is it?
The Bank of England printing and the interest rate is not the government's decision. But they can put the Bank of England into, and this is what's so funny, it's up until 1997? 97? I want to say 97.
Yeah.
The government chose the interest rate.
Yeah.
Not the Bank of England. They only got the mandate after 97.
I remember September 1992 when they were changing the interest rate on an almost daily basis in panicking, and they were, it's up, back down to 17%, 15%.
Exactly.
It was wild panic.
Yep.
Yeah. So this time around, you think that a desperate government might? Well, I mean, they can't make the Bank of England do it.
They can't. Sorry. And actually, the Bank of England have shown how independent they are by their decisions over the last few years.
You think so?
Yeah. They haven't followed what the government wanted.
Okay.
So yeah, but I think if push comes to shove, if the government went, please.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. And if they don't, if the Bank of England stands firm and goes, no, we're not cutting interest rates to that far, we're not going to stop QT and restart QE.
Well, then everything will crash as suggested.
So, because the FTSE is getting up towards 9,000, like you said.
It's not quite there yet, but I still think we'll break it. I still think we'll hit it before we collapse. Hit it, then quit it.
Okay.
You remember, I don't know, 2 years ago, whatever it was, I said we would hit 8,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went, what? But, because you never know, these fuckers may even allow it to get to $9,000. But this was not a serious thought process, etc., etc. I'd done the analysis before, which was definitely we get 8,000. I said that a long time ago, and everyone was like, no, we're definitely going down from here. I went, no, this was when interest rates had just started rising. And I said, no.
Late 2022.
Correct. Yeah, a long time ago. And I said, no, we'll definitely hit 8,000 because everyone will put their money into the FTSE. And then suddenly there was the response, and it's like, okay, we may hit, you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 9,000. But when we do, when we hit that hard barrier, we're going to come falling down. And I'll say it on air and now, 4,500, 50% drop. That's what I said back then, and I'll say it again now.
Do you think the FTSE could drop? Because the FTSE is not UK companies.
No, it's global. This is a global issue. I've said it. You saw it in my presentation
Yeah, so
earlier.
hang on.
that I
So
showed
what
you.
you're saying is when the FTSE reaches 9,000, buy puts. Short the FTSE at 9,000.
It's all going to go horribly wrong. Horribly wrong.
And do you think you see that as an eventual mathematical certainty, or what?
Okay, so I did the maths 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago, for me, that was the peak.
You've been pretty much right about interest rates.
The peak, 9,000, Zabosh. And yes, I saw it getting to between 4,000 and 5,000. So I said 4,500 because you have to give a number. That's.
And you think this is unsustainable debt that eventually is what causes this?
Yeah, I think the collapse of zombie companies.
That slide you showed me earlier, that 1.2 trillion that we're spending every year, the government is spending every year. 24% of that is other.
Well, a lot of those councils, a lot of them.
Can I just put that graph on screen? What I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of just that one slide.
No, you can put the whole slide. Put the whole thing on.
No, because it's too small. I just want to get that one because that is absolutely.
Can you imagine presenting to a client, oh, we've got a budget for you. By the way, 24% is other costs.
Here it is.
We're not going to tell you what they are. They're just other.
So I'll put this up here. Guys, I know that's a lot of for a late night boozy live stream. You're not expecting to see pie charts on there. But what I think is absolutely, here we are, staggering is that pie chart there is government spending, 18% health, 12% pensions, 10% universal credit, 9% education, 9% debt interest. So we spend as much on debt interest as we do on education. 24% other. Do you have any idea what comprises that other? Or is that
yes. A lot of that is actually the weird thing. You know how Rachel has said that the NHS doesn't have to pay the national insurance increase? Because that would be nuts, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But all the care homes that my sister, for instance, looking after the largest care home network in the UK as COO, they are funded entirely by the NHS.
And they will have to pay the NHS.
And they have to pay the increased national insurance. So how fucking stupid is that?
So what? And you think that's going to come under other rather than health?
Correct. No, I'm not. I know it comes under other because that's a council spend and the councils come under other. Yeah. The health is just the NHS proper.
Visible comment says, run out of bullets now, hence gold finding true value.
Gold finding scary value.
Yeah.
Given that you look at everything else. You can show the slides, mate.
Yeah. Ribs 747 says, "What the fuck is other?" Well, it's more than universal credit and education combined. Or more, universal credit and pensions combined. Other. I suspect that other is what, if we end up with the Department of Government Efficiency in the UK, I suspect other
would be someone would investigate. Yes. Oh, God, I'd love to fucking investigate other. Do you know how much I would love to investigate other?
Yeah.
Almost as much as my first girlfriend, Ev. She had a 32 double D.
Oh, God.
And Did you want
to investigate those?
I was 16. I didn't know what a 32 double D was. I was like, oh my God, I must investigate. And I investigated and investigated, and I probably spent a year, maybe more, investigating
what 32WD was. So, I mean, I make a serious point here, right? 24% of the 1.2 trillion. So that's 300 billion pounds a year. And if what people should do is put this into the context of how many hours they're working just to pay other tax.
Yeah, lots.
Right?
Lots.
So if you're a 40% taxpayer, 1 in 4 of the hours you work to pay your tax bill is going to other. An hour of your life. Let's just say you work 10 hours a day, because actually in real life that's what most people are doing, really.
So 4 hours.
If you include,
yeah.
So 4 hours of your
tax.
day is just to pay tax, right? You work 4 hours every day to
but
pay your
1
tax.
and a bit hours is just for other.
Yeah.
Other.
And you're working, and you do, and the money that you earn for that hour and a bit is fugazi. It doesn't exist. It's not real.
No, but we should get a dry martini with 3 olives. I would like the first one now, the next one in 3 minutes, and then one every 2 minutes thereafter until one of us falls over.
We should do that.
We should do that.
It's whatever your politics are, nobody should be okay with their tax money being wasted. And
Sorry. This is far too serious. Whatever your politics are, nobody should be okay with them all being cunts.
You mean all the people who are corrupt?
All of the cunts.
Okay.
The civil service cunts, the national health cunts, the politician cunts. They're all cunts. All of them. Some shaved, some waxed, some lasered. Others just cunts. Gaping, distended cunts.
Just as long as you don't say, no, I'm not even going to say it.
I would never say it.
No. But yeah, actually, that's not an unfair description of people who are knowingly abusing taxpayers' money.
Exactly.
If you are knowingly abusing taxpayers' money, then you are, as
a
you say,
gaping, distended cunt.
Not any old cunt. A gaping.
Any old cunt. Any old cunt. Any old cunt. You made me drink wine and then do this. I told you not to do this.
But to those of you who are watching at 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm very, very sorry. It's 10 past midnight on Monday night. It's now Tuesday morning, 11th of February. Yes, but honestly, as Samantha points out, or pricks. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Sorry, Samantha, are you, Samantha, upset about the female connotation of the word cunt? Because if so, I would like to say that they are all limp, flaccid cocks.
Yes.
They are so fucking minuscule. They are micro penises to the point that the schmegma around their fucking foreskins, which abuses our nostrils every day. They are the politicians that we have voted for. And I would like to say the fairer sex, and don't get me wrong, I love a good cunt. The fairer sex, Samantha, are not to be abused.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, this is a new one. Someone who I don't recognize said, Charlie, call it a day. This is becoming embarrassing. You don't have to watch. You don't have to watch.
No,
there are plenty of people. The number of people watching is going up, not down. So,
more importantly, I wish you wouldn't.
Honestly, I don't. We don't want to offend anybody. Don't watch if you're easily offended. I should have put some warning on the screen, shouldn't I? But yes. But there's a serious point here. We're using humor and vulgarity and crudity to make a very serious point, which is that if you are working and you're skint, you wouldn't be as skint if the people Alex is referring to weren't allowed to get away with what they're getting away with.
Oh, come on. Actually, the reality is that we wouldn't be as skinned if people were procreating at the rate that they used to, which they're not, because they can't afford to, because they can't have a house, because the house is too expensive, and their wages are too low, and the taxes are too high.
Okay.
And if you allow all of that, then after that, you go, yeah, but they could still work, and yes, but they're not going to grow this country. And what we were actually talking about, the important thing, was whether this country would survive and be happy and healthy and all this sort of good stuff that we were talking about.
Prosperity.
Yeah, wealth, prosperity, general happiness of the populace. And that, unlike Japan, is not going to happen unless we continue to have growth. And this is where the big question, immigration or natural birth rate within the country.
Yeah. Kevin Flagg says, I'm voting for Alex.
I am so hammered, mate. That's 2 bottles of wine down.
Yeah. Graham Groovy says, Bernard Manning is smiling from above.
He's got a turkey up his ass.
And Darren Westbury correctly points out, we all need to shag for England.
Yes, that is the answer. Honestly, not kidding. Shag for England. If you love your country, give her one.
Or him. Give him one. Yes, if you're a girl, you've got to give him one. Boy,
Actually, you're quite right. She can jump on top.
Yeah,
I have no problem
exactly.
with that. I have never had a problem with that.
Right. Plastered bar steward, says Dark Horse Enigma. What jobs will exist in 6 months? Car industry is about to go pop, town shops are bust, and no industries are employing. It's, you know, I've heard more anecdotal reports of redundancies just today than I've heard in the last few weeks.
It's getting bad.
It's exactly what's going to be. And it's what all the country's biggest employers warned would happen. So
Told you 2 years ago, no one believed me. They all sat there going, oh no. I was like, it's coming. And you went, no, but the civil servants will be okay. They'll be all right. They've got jobs for life. I'm like, no, civil servants.
When's that going to happen?
Soon.
Labour's not going to do that.
Soon. Oh, yes, it will.
Labour doesn't do that.
Yes.
Have they ever done that? Labour?
Watch and learn. Labour are going to cut the civil service. It is going to be both horrific and at the same time quite amusing for people who voted Tory previously.
What makes you so sure?
Pensions.
No, but hang on. Labour, whenever it hasn't been able to afford anything in the past, it hasn't stopped them. They just keep spending.
Let's see how it goes, mate.
No, but even faced with that.
Okay, so they've already announced 10,000 civil service layoffs. Yeah?
What?
Oh, yes.
Layoffs or
yes.
just
no,
natural?
No, layoffs. 10,000 layoffs. However, what they didn't say, because they are Labour, is that between 2020 and 2023, they employed an extra 100,000 civil servants in order to deal with COVID and so on and so forth. So the 10,000 layoffs is peanuts. When you multiply it by 10, okay, then we get back to a reasonable level. But actually, they're going to find they need to multiply it by 20. It'll be 200,000 layoffs.
They're not going to do that. I'm not saying they don't need to, but guys, that's Stig's shaking my hand. That's a bet.
Yep.
That he thinks that the Labour are going to lay off 200,000 civil servants.
Okay, the bet is at least 100,000.
Okay. By when?
Within the next 4 years.
Within
That's
this
what
parliament,
they've got.
within
Yeah,
this parliament. Not any
yeah.
sooner than that, but at some point. Jesus, that's catastrophic if they do that.
Uh-huh. We are in a catastrophe. How have you not realized
This is the word.
this yet?
It's no. I have realized it. I realized it when you did 3 years ago from a different point of view. I saw. I was like,
Exactly. Oh God, that was a shit. Hang on.
Sofa now.
Oh, it's close.
Okay. Oh no,
Motherfucker, we'll go for one more. Oh, that was close.
No, that's it. No more. People don't watch that. I've got 3 grapes to pick up now. It's getting very weird.
I need more alcohol.
I'm not sure there is any.
Oh my God.
I think you've drunk me out of house and home. Valma Hiblin said, if that chart represented my tax return, my accountant would have a few questions. Yeah, 100,000. So Tina Fey says 100,000, just 100,000, a 1 with 5 zeros.
Yes.
Redundant layoffs from the civil
they're
service.
laying off 10,000.
When did they say that?
Oh, ages ago.
No. Stiggy's not on Skype. He's here. Almost walked on camera. He's walking on camera. Oh my God, he was on camera. You saw him. He's gone to the bathroom. That's right. Yeah. God, this is guys. This was an unplanned evening live stream. It's just whenever Stig and I get just chatting like this in the evening, I just always think it's more fun to share it because it's entertaining. Sometimes it's a bit risky. If anyone joined after I gave the warning about profane language and then got blindsided by it, sorry about that. But what I want to talk about when he comes back is what I think actually is going to happen. I think it gets a lot worse where it gets better. I think whatever form the next government takes, it doesn't exist yet. Is it some kind of deal between Tories and Reform? Is it some other kind of deal between other parties? Is it a brand new emergence? Is it Reform but with differently? I don't know. I don't know what it is. But there's still no clear vision for something new. And I don't think, this is my, I feel this quite strongly. I think that we are now a directionless country. I don't think Labour has any vision at all. I just literally, someone said the other day that Keir Starmer is sitting at the front of a driverless train. That's like what it's like. There's no direction, there's no vision, there's no leadership at all. Even Bloomberg started saying that. And until somebody emerges as a leader with a vision that isn't a retrospective vision, isn't a nostalgic vision, but is actually a exciting vision of the future that galvanizes British voters, I don't see anything getting better. I don't think the Make Europe Great Again thing is going to have the same effect in Europe as the MAGA movement has had in America, because there isn't a mega figurehead in Europe. I don't think that concept, Make Europe Great Again, I don't think that travels across the Atlantic like the MAGA movement has in America. Because the MAGA movement had a very, very clear leader and visionary for it, and he's been elected. And for those of you who are new here, by the way, like I've always been, my whole life, I've been politically neutral. I've voted for all the different major parties at some point. Labour, Tory, Lib Dem, and Green. I have voted for all of those 4 parties at some point. None of them are parties I would vote for again. But yeah, I don't think we're going to get any improvement in Europe, let alone the UK. I can't believe anyone's still watching. He's gone. He got up and left. Sorry for that. I lost my internet connection completely at some point. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. I hope everyone enjoyed that, was entertained by that. Slightly extreme, even by mine and Stig standards, that was slightly extreme. But there we go. Have a good night, everyone.